another video from Max Revs. Look at this car in this glorious sunshine. Yesterday it was cloudy. I was just having my fingers crossed and everything for great weather today, and that's exactly what we've got. Not only have we got great weather, we've got this great location. If you recognize this, I was here about 3 or 4 years ago picking up my car just over here. We're at 911 Virgin, so thankful for them for allowing us to use this location. Steve doesn't live too far from over here, so I thought, why not, if we can try to reach out. Henry, so kind of him to allow us to use his premises. There's nothing better than a great looking Cayman, but a great Cayman in a great location like this with great weather. There's not much more you can ask for. So as you've seen, this is a 981 Base Cayman Mexico Blue. I love this color. We just got to get it next to Shark Blue. We had it next to Miami Blue, and you really see the green pop through in the Miami Blue. I hadn't noticed that until you park them side by side. So the next mission on this channel, we need to get a Shark Blue car parked next to this one. Thanks to 911 Virgin for allowing us to use their premises. Great location, great bunch of chaps, and it's one of the top kind of independent specialists. I'm not affiliated with them, I just think they're a great bunch of people, and generally I know a couple of you guys on this channel, you buy cars through them sight unseen, you generally know what you're going to get. But anyway, Henry is the owner over there, he's off camera. They've got their own YouTube channel, so do check them out. 911 Virgin, come on over here, Henry. You know, Mexico Blue. Yep. How often do you see a Mexico Blue Cayman?
Not that often. I mean, the first thing that strikes me, Riviera Blue.
I don't think I've seen that in real life.
Oh, I mean, Riviera Blue in kind of back in the day was a very popular colour, and you find a lot of the, let's say, RSs and that sort of thing would be Riviera Blue. So it's very, very close to that, and it's one of those kind of seminal colours, quite striking, obviously flat colour, non-metallic. But yeah, just a real classy looking car.
You've been selling Porsches for over 20 years now, is that right?
I have, and you wouldn't think to look at me.
Not at all.
No,
not
I
at
mean,
all.
I look late 20s and I'm slightly older. So yeah.
But it's so thankful. We're so grateful. I mean, Stephen and I,
it's fine.
You know, we had a great chat earlier on. Really great, and thanks for allowing us to use your location, because it just makes the cars pop that little bit better. And it's a lot easier for filming and everything. So big shout out to them. Go check their channel out. So now you've seen the car, let's get in the move now. We'll get Stephen in the cabin. We'll get some cameras in the car. We'll go for a quick drive, and we'll listen to the story of how he got this 981 Base Cayman in Mexico Blue. Hello there, welcome to another video from Max Revs. I'm so excited. Not only is the sun out, we're in a Mexico Blue Cayman Base car today. We've got Stephen, the owner. Stephen, thank you for reaching out to me. It's going to be a great day today.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, look at the sunshine, you know, lockdown's easing. It's fantastic.
Exactly, it's been awesome getting out. And the topic for this video today is, you know what? So when I was looking to buy my car, I said, look, it's got to be a Cayman S. Sonny, on a video we've done before with his Base Cayman, he kind of called me an S snob. Today's video, it's true, I don't know if that made it onto camera or not, but what I'd like to cover in this video today is a well-spec'd Base Cayman, I believe, is far better for you than a poorly spec'd Cayman S. Obviously, whatever Cayman rocks your boat, that works for you, but this is an astonishingly spec'd Base Cayman. It's got extended leather, it's got SportTechno wheels, it's in Mexico Blue, which is a colour that we don't see. In fact, this is the first Mexico Blue colour I've seen in the UK, and it's absolutely awesome. Learner driver, you got to give way 2 cars from your right over there. There we go. In this video today, I just want to sort of chat with Stephen, because let's talk about his history, how he came into this fantastic car. And yeah, Stephen, I mean, let's kind of start with a nice hello for you. And is this your first Porsche? How did you get into this Cayman? And yeah, what's your backstory, mate?
Yeah, well, hi Max, and thanks for having me on the channel. I mean, it is my first Porsche, and the reason I got into it's a relatively long story, which I'll try and keep short. I'd wanted to buy a Porsche literally from the age of 5 or 6 or 7 years old. Wow. Always dreamt of a Porsche, like a lot of young people do. Had a couple of opportunities to get 911s when I was younger. In my sort of late 20s, early 30s, had an opportunity. I won't go into the backstory of that, but it involved my first daughter being in a baby seat in the back car for the test drive, and a sleepless night before deciding it's not the right time.
Yeah, probably.
And then some years later on, about 10 years fast forward, I went to a Porsche Experience Day with, it was actually Porsche Bournemouth, who had a marketing event to launch the car that you own, the 987 Gen 2.
We're talking quite a while ago then.
So yeah, I think it's 2009 if my memory serves me right. And I was just blown away. I got in the car around the track, I tried the automatic and the manual, and when I got in the manual of that, I was just, wow, this is just unbelievable. The control you have over the car, the feeling the car gave you, They've got a kick plate there, which causes you to lose the back, the rear end. It was just amazing. And really, from that moment, that was it. In my head, there was always going to be a doubt as to whether it was still going to be a 911. Would it maybe be a Cayman?
So back then, you were originally thinking 911 when you were younger?
Always, yeah.
And then, so 2009, you kind of opened yourself up to thinking, you know what, maybe a Cayman?
It was definitely a result of attending the Porsche Experience Centre at Silverstone, right? Definitely. I mean, the professional driver there took me around the track, guiding you as to how to control the car and not control the car, etc. And it was just the way they feel. I think you've said it on your channel loads of times with other drivers. Yeah. It's the planted feel of the car, when you're going through these really tight, winding bends, and it's just amazing. They're just an amazing, amazing piece of machinery, right? And so that was it, really. I was kind of really drawn towards the Caymans for what ended up being 11 years before I bought this one.
Gotcha. So where did you buy this one from then?
So I ended up buying this at another OPC in Portsmouth.
Okay.
The story of that is relatively short. I became quite fanatical. I started to look in spring 2019. I spent over a year looking every day at the Porsche GB site, at Independence, at Auto Trader, all the usual places, Piston Heads, and every now and then one would come up that I thought that's the one I want. And at that time I was looking for the S. But I started to get a bit greedy.
Was that the 981S? Yeah.
Yeah, 981S.
Okay,
yeah, sorry. And I did dabble with thinking about the Cayman R. Who wouldn't, right? It's a fantastic car. But I sort of stuck with the 981s, and I got really fussy. I got way too fussy. In fact, I was looking at S's and I was waiting for the S to come up with all the buttons, right? Okay. And you know what I mean, right? Down the centre console, all the buttons, and they very rarely came up. And what I started to find was that when one of those came up, it was gone in hours, right? If you looked the next day, it was gone. It was sold.
Is this during lockdown? Or
this was now we're approaching sort of lockdown, so last summer really.
Okay, gotcha.
They'd be gone, right?
Yeah.
They just didn't hang around, right? And that was pretty much true, whether it was a Porsche dealer, an OPC, or whether it was an independent. So then you start to get a bit frustrated because you sat there, or I sat there thinking, well, I'm going to buy this one because this one looks good. It's at Reading OPC, so I'll go and get that one. You ring up the next day, it's gone. Right? And this was happening quite a bit. So then I started thinking, well, okay, let's start broadening the search and consider GTSs. Yeah, it was an extra amount of money and everything, obviously, but guess what? You get the majority of all the buttons and the options in there, right? So being greedy, I thought maybe that's the option to go for. So I went down that path, and then again I started looking at it and thinking, can I do this? Because then you start being a family man, you start questioning whether can you justify this? Should I really be doing it? Is this really a priority? Right? And all the questions that had stopped me buying a car in the past, right? Yeah. So anyway, this one came up, and
it's got to be said, I didn't see this come up on any listings. I mean, I don't check every day religiously, but I'm guessing when this came up, like, you probably jumped on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I did. Again, as I say, being rather fanatical in my searches, this one came up. I believe it was within hours that I'd secured it. Because they had no picture of it. They just had the description, obviously, and if you hadn't really bothered to deep dive. So that's how you got.
So there was no Mexico Blue picture. It was in the description only.
No, exactly.
Oh, wow.
It just said, and that's what I'm saying. I used to go through every single one, whatever came up. I'd look through all the spec. This one came up. It said PTS Mexico Blue, and the spec list was huge. And I just thought, this can't be right. This can't be a base.
Yeah.
And then I googled the PTS Mexico Blue, and then I was sold. Really, I kind of did it for me.
I mean, it's an awesome car, and we can only guess as to who the previous owner was. But I'm guessing they weren't kind of watching the pennies. We've got extended leather, we've got the stitching, we've got the carbon pack, we've got the design pack, SportTechno wheels. I mean, PTS. This was someone that most likely could have spec'd an S, but chose not to. And we were just having a discussion off camera in the sense that, we know some guys who've got 911 turbos. Put your foot down, a couple of seconds, you're breaking the law. Beyond that, you're going to be in jail if you get caught, and your license will be revoked. So sometimes I think there's more fun in basically revving out the engine and having a bit more fun, and it's pretty much what Sonny even said in his video.
Well, it is actually, and I watched that. I'm probably accountable for a lot of views on that particular video, right? Because last summer I was watching that over and over again, in particular once I'd placed the deposit on this, because then I had a couple of weeks of, that doubt, that self-doubt and that anxiety. Have I made the right decision? Should I have gone for the S? Should I have gone for a GTS? GT4, by the way, was frankly out of my budget, and also from a practical point of view wasn't really right for me. I've got an issue with my driveway, which I can explain later. But
Okay.
so yeah, basically it just looked bonkers, right? The car didn't make any sense at all why anybody would spend. I think I worked it out as north of £22,000 plus the PTS paint cost. On a Base Cayman, and I just couldn't quite get my head around why anybody would do that.
But I mean, one thing I love about this car, we've all said that every Cayman drives great, you've got the handling, but when you're maybe doing like lower speeds, you're just driving around, it's the cabin and the interior, and like just seeing like the bonnet lip of the Mexico Blue and the wing mirrors are popping, you know.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic place to be, and I think this is something that I've sort of learned, you know, throughout my sort of time getting used to Porsche cars, is that you must get that special feeling. Do you still get that special feeling now?
I can't tell you really. It's hard to explain to people. You know, I've never owned a car, and it sounds really sad, but I've never owned a car that literally every day you're thinking, what's the excuse to go out in it? You know, where can I go? And obviously with lockdown, that's been incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
But you know, the excitement you get, that I get when I get in the car, when I just stand and look at the car, you know, the lines on it. You've done videos with the designer of your model. And you just look at them and you just think they are just an amazing design and an amazing piece of engineering, you know?
Everyone that we know that's got a Cayman, it's not just a car, it's not just a means of transport, and it doesn't have to be the top of the range or the flashiest thing. It's what it does for us inside, and I think that's what I'd say where this channel is slightly different. We're not really reviewing cars, we're also reviewing how the cars make us feel. And you know, I like the fact you purchased it on the phone, no test drive?
Literally no test drive, no. I just called I actually emailed the dealers. Probably part of my subconscious saying you shouldn't be doing this. Emailed them expecting them to say it's already gone.
Okay.
And of course it wasn't, and the dealer was very, very prompt. Guy at Jose in Portsmouth was fantastic. He actually put up with a lot of questions from me. So the guy was very, very patient. But he sent back pictures, I think quite reluctantly really, in a way, because the car had literally just landed in the stock.
Oh, it hadn't even prepped it yet.
Hadn't been prepped,
yeah,
wasn't clean.
To do that,
you know, but he said, look, as long as you're happy with that, then I'll send you the pictures. So I said, yep, fine, send the pictures.
Because you'd lost out on enough cars by now, so
exactly,
this is not going to be another one.
Exactly. So I said, I haven't got a problem. I said, I can totally appreciate it hasn't been prepped, just send the pictures.
Wow.
So he sent the pictures, and then I just rang him back and said, right, okay, what do we need to do here? You know,
on the colour note, I mean, what colour were you looking at prior to the Mexico Blue? Because I'm guessing, this being PTS, you weren't looking for Mexico Blue.
No, I wasn't. To be honest, I've always gone for blue cars. I've really got a favouring for blue cars, and my previous car was pretty much the colour you've got in your 987,
okay.
Right? So
when you were looking for the 981s, were you sort of looking sapphire blue?
I was kind of looking for that. I was prepared to take black, and then you start looking and realising actually you can't afford to be that picky, because if you're going to be picky with options, the colour you might have to be compromising about.
So, what were the options that were kind of must-haves for you, by the way?
Do you know, it sounds ridiculous now, because
no,
to me it was the sports exhaust. Again, having watched your videos and other channels' videos with the exhaust and the sound of the flat six, I was just thinking, I've got to have some of that.
Yeah. And ironically, with the base 981s, they don't normally get the sports exhaust. So I mean, I don't know what the kind of percentages are, but Base Caymans with a sports exhaust, there's not that many with that option on there.
No, I don't think there is. I mean, there's people that have added them aftermarket, well, aftermarket ones, or added them at Porsche afterwards. But yeah, I don't think there's too many. But
I love extended leather. I've got to say, I've got a thing for it. And I think the stitching it's a light blue, isn't it, as well?
Not quite sure, but yeah, maybe.
I'll have to get another close up of that. The sun's beaming on it right now, but
I liked the carbon as well. You know, that was another thing that drew me to it. I thought, wow, it's got the carbon trim as well. That's nice.
Very nice. So this is what I'm saying. That they weren't going through, oh, it's going to be too expensive. They were like, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that.
Yeah, exactly. It was just one of those things, right? I mean, who knows what was going through that individual's mind, right, when they spec'd this car? But you know, I personally, I feel really honoured actually and lucky to have actually managed to get it and grab hold of it, because
it's practically new. I can see it's got 12,000 miles. So how many miles were on the clock when you bought it?
I've done 2,000 in it.
10,000 miles. Yeah, that's a brand new car.
Yeah, it is.
It's just run in.
It is, and you know,
white dials as well. I'll bring you pictures of the dials later. Love that.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty special car. I mean, it gets, as you'd expect in this colour, quite a bit of attention, which is, you know, I was telling you earlier, that's actually quite the opposite of who I am as an individual. Normally I'm quite a relatively shy and reserved person, although some of my friends would argue that, and my family, but I am actually at my core nature is quite shy. So you can't be shy when you're driving this around anywhere, right?
I think you told me just before we had a coffee this morning, so like a 67-year-old woman just inquiring what that car was.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, we're just waiting for you at the coffee shop there, and I'd say late.
By the way, I wasn't late. When he says he's waiting for me at the coffee shop,
I was very keen. Let's put it that way, right? Any excuse to get out early in the car in the sunshine, right? But yeah, it was a sort of a pensioner, really. She just came past, and she, you know, I've never owned a car where a pensioner stops and talks to you about your car, you know, and she was really keen to know about the colour, really keen to know what car it was.
So I'll tell you what, Stephen, you know, you kind of mentioned something about your driveway. You didn't test drive this car. You kind of said a GT4 wouldn't get up your driveway.
Yes.
Seeing as you've never bought a Cayman, was this even a bit of a, you know, a question of whether it would get up your driveway or not?
It absolutely was. I mean, it was a primary reason in recent years, since we moved to our house about 15 years ago, that I haven't bought any sort of sports car, because we've got a particularly steep entrance to our driveway. And even on a previous car I had, a Golf GTI, the bumper would all claw and scratch on the bottom. So I was
you didn't test that, you just bought the car and it's going to be...
Yeah, no, so I was very, very anxious driving all the way back from Portsmouth and thinking, coming round the street corner, but I can't tell you the sense of relief when I arrived home and drove the car up the driveway. I had my daughter and my wife waiting at the driveway to sort of guide me, just to watch all the corners.
Oh, did you pre-approve your purchase with the boss indoors, by the way, or you know, like when you're on the phone call and they go, you know what it's like, you've got to just make your decision up there and then.
Well, I know that my wife may well watch this video at some point, and she'll probably be keen to come on a video later and tell you what she thinks, but I remember calling her and saying, you know, there's this car, this is the specification, it is, I mean, I was very passionate about it straight away. Yeah. I said, it's got everything. It has got everything and more. Yeah, right. Correct. I said, and it's I didn't say it's a Larry colour. It's an acquired taste, right? Yeah. I said it is a unique colour, or in my mind, and I've got to have it. Of course, her initial reaction was, I don't think you really need it, do you?
Yeah, you know when we use those words like need and it's all about the wants, isn't it?
But do you know what? I mean, my wife knows. Honestly, anybody who knows me knows how much I've talked about Porsches my whole life, and you know, having come close a couple of times and pulled out, she knew it was important to me. And bless her, what did she do? She sent me a text message rather than ringing me, because I was on the phone to the dealer at this point. She sent a text message, said, "It's what you want. It's what you dreamed of. Do it." Right? And I just thought, wow, you know, that's amazing that she sees the importance to me of a materialistic thing. But you know,
let's take a moment to thank our other halves, whether you're female or male. But you know, like, we'll thank your other halves for allowing us to indulge in our passions, and I genuinely believe when we are happy inside and we are the best people we can be, then it's the best for everyone around us. So,
yeah,
you know,
oh yeah, definitely.
Credit to my wife. My wife doesn't even watch these videos. But if you're watching, love, I love you, all right?
I think she probably does watch them, she just doesn't let you know.
Well, she'll never get 10 minutes into the video. I don't know how long we've been going. She might watch the first few moments, but I'll ask her that. We'll see. If you're watching, love, leave us a comment down below. I've got to say, as a brand, I mean, Porsche have got that thing sussed. I think it's one of the very few companies still out there which are making great cars across all the ranges. And you know what, there is actually something for all price points, and we were just talking earlier on, there's a great kind of specialist sort of independent servicing market. You don't have to get your car from a Porsche dealer. I didn't. I went to 911 Virgin, you know, which is where we're going to do some shooting tonight, and I think as a brand you just can't go wrong. All their cars are great.
They are, and my word of advice to anybody, if you're looking to buy a Porsche, is actually don't go to Porsche Experience Centre in Silverstone, because it will cost you money. Right? It's going to be expensive for you, because you'll fall in love with them, you know.
Oh, that must have been great, because I mean, you actually had to go in a 987.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, sometimes I haven't taken my car on track, but I think it would be much more of a rawer experience than even like the 981s and the 718s. But any car on track, that adrenaline's got to be amazing.
It was amazing, and then, as I say, I can only encourage you to try it.
There we go. We've hit the button. There we go. That's great. That reminds me of being in that car with Sonny, you know that. And it was the first time, this is the second time I'm in a Base Cayman with the sports exhaust, and it's all about how it makes you feel. Well, you know, none of us have got a stopwatch, we're not doing timings here or anything, but that sense of emotion and drama, you can't beat that.
No, you can't, and the stupid thing is that actually in these Base Caymans, you look down at your speedometer and you think that from the sound and the feeling of you in the car, you feel that you're breaking speed limits, and you're not, right? So it really gives you that sense of enjoyment, right? You're on UK roads where we have a lot of restrictions, right? But it still allows you to enjoy the car.
Oh, indeed.
And that's one of the things that I love about it. You know, you just, every time you get in it, it puts a smile on your face.
I mean, I was driving behind you, just looking at the car in the colour. I was smiling the whole time, you know. Lovely colour. I'd love to get shark blue next to this because I suspect it's a little bit darker, but it probably pops just as much.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see what it looks like, right? I mean, it was fascinating to see what it looked like alongside the 718 with the Miami blue. It actually completely blew my mind actually as to how different they were. You know, looking on pictures, you would think that they were very, very similar. But actually, when they were side by side, you could see a world of difference between them. You know?
Both great cars, lovely car. Thank you, Stephen, for the Miami Blue. Every Cayman is a great Cayman. I still maintain that. And what's great about hearing your story is that I think if the car works for you, that's all that you need. You know, like, and I'm great, in fact, that you initially went from the S. And then you basically, it doesn't have to be an S. Every Cayman's a great Cayman. I mean, my car works for me because budget-wise, it's still cheaper than this car. Every Cayman's a great car. There is no such thing as a bad Cayman. The only type of bad Cayman is one that's, you know, not been looked after and needs mechanical attention. And well, listen, hope you enjoy this video. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, and all that kind of good stuff. And if you don't, well, it's fine because I'm not a professional YouTuber. So we're not seeking out to eat the best out of the algorithm. We're just a bunch of guys having fun here. So enjoying life and cars to the max. Until the next video, see ya. Right, that's it. That's her out.